Graphing with quadratics in Vertex Form. Our learning goal today is to draw graphs with quadratics in Vertex Form. Please ensure you have the lesson printout so you can follow along with this video. Alright, so over the last couple of lessons, we were learning how the a, h, and k values determine the shape and position of our quadratic relation. We saw the a value can compress or stretch or reflect. We saw the h value can shift the parabola left or right, and the k value can raise it or lower it on the Cartesian plane. Today we're going to be practicing graphing quadratics in Vertex Form using these parameters, and I'm going to show you another way to do it algebraically. So let's begin. Let's look at our first example here. We have y is equal to negative bracket x plus 1 close bracket squared plus 2. Let's list our variables here. So a is equal to negative 1. Our h is also going to be equal to negative 1. Remember the double negative sign, so negative 1 is going to look like a plus 1 within the relationship here. And k is equal to 2. So what does this mean? There's going to be a horizontal translation of 1 unit left from our h value. Our vertical translation is going to be 2 units up. And we're going to look at the absolute value of a. It's still 1 for a. So when I say absolute value, we're not taking into consideration the sign, just the number. Because it's 1, there is no stretch or compression, so we'll say none. And is there a reflection? Yes, there is on the x-axis. And that has to do with the negative a. So negative a, the absolute value is 1, and 2 units up, that's our k value, and 1 unit left, that's our h value. Okay, so we know how we can draw our graph and manipulate it like we did yesterday. And again, this is going to be kind of tricky because look at all these different components. But there is an algebraic way to solve these, and I'll show you that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to take our key points from our parent graph and we're going to transform them to our new points. So let's take our key points. What were they? So these are the key points for yx squared. So we have our x and our y, and if you remember, we look at negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2, and our y values are going to be 4, 1, 0, 1, and 4, and that's just plugging it into this equation here to get those y values. So let's get our new points. And to do that, there's a little bit of a transformation we have to do to it. So we do that by using this. So to our x values, we're going to add h, and to our y values, we're going to multiply it by a and then add k. So let's go, and I'll do some examples here. So I'll do one calculation, but then I won't show all of them. So we have our x, we have our y, and what we have to do to them. So to the x values, we're going to add h, and to our y values, we're going to multiply it by a and then add k. So let's look at the x values first. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our x value, use red to represent the original one, so x value, and then to that we're going to add our h value. In this case, we're looking at our first x value here, which is negative 2, and to that we're going to add our h value, which is negative 1. And when we do that, that's going to give us our new k value. So let's do that. So negative 2 plus negative 1 is equal to negative 3. So that's going to be our new h value. So what you're going to do is just going to go down this list and just plug in all your x's here. So the next one would be negative 1 plus negative 1, which is negative 2. And then 0 plus negative 1 is going to be negative 1. then 0, and 1. So we just went down this list, and we got these new translated x values. And so for the y values, to get them, it's done in a similar way. So we're going to take our a, and we're going to multiply it by the y value in this list, so times y, and then to that we're going to add k. Okay, and so, so for this one, our a value is -1. Our y value is going to be 4. I'll do that in red so you can see. And then we're going to add 2. So we're going to put 4 in here, and then so -1 times 4 is -4, plus 2, that's going to be -2. So it's going to be -2, so that's going to be over here, -2. And then you're just going to go down this list and just plug in for the different y values. And you only have to go up to this point, because after these two, these are just reflections of this. So there's a little bit of a shortcut, but if you keep on going, so you're going to plug in 1 into this. -1 times 1 is going to be -1 plus 2 is going to be +1. So the next one here is going to be +1, and you're just going to go down this list. Okay, if you plug in 0 into that, you're going to get 0 times -1, which is 0, plus 2, which is going to be 2. And then it's just going to repeat 1, and then you're going to have -2 again if you just do the calculations there. So that's what you're going to get. And now once we have that, we can just plot our points. So let's go ahead and do that. So a little mini graph here. Let's try it. So we have when x is equal to -3, y is equal to -2. Right? When x is equal to -2, y is equal to 1. When x is equal to -1, y is equal to 2. When x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1. And then the last one here is when x is equal to 1, y is equal to -2 again. And you can see it forms that nice parabola. It's nice and symmetrical. That's how you know you did it right. And then you're just going to draw your graph like that. Okay, so we'll try a few more examples, and then you'll be able to do all these on your own. Okay, let's try another example. Here we are. We're going to try our next example. So y is equal to 3 bracket x minus 5 squared minus 4. Okay, so let's just write out what we have here. So we have our a, which is equal to +3. We have our h, which is equal to +5, and our k, which is equal to -4. So what this means is we're going to have a horizontal translation, 5 units right, okay, because they're +5. Our vertical translation, down 4 units. We're going to have a stretch because our a value is equal to 3, so by factor of 3. That's going to be a stretch because it's the absolute value is not a fraction, it's bigger than 1. And is a reflection, not for this one, because a is positive, so we know it's going to open up. Okay, so now let's get translating. So we're going to start with our key points again. All right, we have x, and y, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. We have 4, 1, 0, 1, and 4. And to get our new points, as we did last time, we know it's x plus h, and it's a times y plus k. Okay, so plugging it in here, we know our, let me just write down what our a is. Our a is equal to 3, our h is equal to 5, and our k is equal to -4. So we can go ahead and start calculating this. So to get our new h's, again, we're going to go down this list, and to each one we're going to add h. So x plus h, as we see over here, so -2 plus 5, and then we're just going to go down this list. So and just do all of them. So we're going to get 3, you're going to get 4, you're going to get 5, you're going to get 6, and you're going to get 7 when you go down this list, adding 5 to each one of those. Then we're going to go down the next list, and we're going to multiply by a, which is 3 times, it's going to be a times y plus k. And so it's going to be 3 times our y value. I'm just going to plug in the first one here, which is 4, plus k, which is negative 4. So if you do this calculation, 3 times 4 is 12, minus 4 is 8. Okay, so we're going to get 8, and we're just going to go down this list and replace all these ones here. Just make sure they line up with these ones here. So if you plug in 1 into here, 1 times 3 is 3, minus 4 is negative 1. If you plug in 0 into here, 0 times 3, which is 0, minus 4 is negative 4. And then these two are just going to be repeating of these ones if you did it correctly. So if you plugged in 1 into this again, 1 times 3 is 3, minus 4 is negative 1 again. And then if you plug in 4 into this, 4 times 3 is 12, minus 4 is 8. So you can see how these two are just repeat the top here. And so let's go ahead and graph those. Okay, so we have when x is equal to 3, y is equal to 8. Right? When x is equal to 4, y is equal to negative 1. When x is equal to 5, y is equal to negative 4. When x is equal to 6, y is equal to negative 1. And when x is equal to 7, y is equal to 8 again. So there we are. See our parabola being formed, and then we can just draw our parabola. And you can see how skinny it is because there is a stretch. Let's try another one here. So we have y is equal to negative 0.25, bracket x minus 6, close bracket, squared. And so what do we have here? We have an a value of equal to negative 0.25. We have an h value, which is going to be equal to positive 6, and we don't have a k, so we don't have to worry about that. So we have a horizontal translation, 6 units to the right, positive 6. A vertical translation of none, because there's no k. A stretch or compression, because the absolute value of a, so we're not looking at a itself without the sign, is a fraction, or 0.25, that's a compression. So it's a compression by a factor of 0.25. And is there a reflection? Yes, there is, because a is negative. So the negative part of a, that's what we're looking at here. So we can say it's a reflection on the x-axis. Okay, so that's how we would describe it. And let's go ahead and translate those key points to our new graph. So we have x, we have y, and you're going to plug it in, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2, 4, 1, 0, 1, and 4. So let's get our new points. Remember, it's x plus h, and then a times y plus k. So we have our first x value, which is, so let me just write the formula h, x plus h again. So our first x value is negative 2, and to that we're going to add 6. And then negative 2 plus 6 we know is going to be 4. And then we're going to do negative 1 plus 6, which is going to be 5. And then we're just going to go down this list, just adding 6. 0 plus 6 is 6. Then 1 plus 6 is 7. And then 2 plus 6 is 8. See, it just goes up like that. And then we're going to do our y values. And in this case, there is no k, so we just have to consider a times y. So a times y. And a is negative 0.25, and our y, we'll start with the 4 here, so we're going to multiply that, and then we're going to get some numbers here. So when we do this, we're going to get negative 1, so we have negative 1, and then we're just going to go down this list. Negative 0.25 times 1 is going to be negative 0.25, 0 times that is still going to be 0, and then these numbers are just going to repeat, 0.25, and then negative 1. Okay, and then we can go ahead and graph that. Okay, so when x is equal to 4, y is equal to -1. When x is equal to 5, y is equal to -0.25. So it's going to be really close there. It's hard to see. I'll zoom in a little bit. So it's going to be hard for you to draw because it's so tiny, but try it out. Okay. Then when x is equal to 6, y is equal to 0. Then it repeats again. Then at 8, we'll look like that. So it's pretty fast, you can see, because there's a compression, and then we could draw a parabola, something like that. Okay, and let's try one last example together. So we have y is equal to 7, x plus 3 squared minus 10. And so we all have a horizontal. So actually, before we do that, let's just write our h and k over here. Okay, so let's set it up. A in this case is going to be 7. H is going to be -3. And then k is equal to -10. So let's plug those. Well, not plug them. Let's just translate them into words here. So what does this mean? A is equal to, so we'll start with horizontal translation. So horizontal translation is going to be equal to 3 units left, 3 units left. Okay, and then our vertical translation, 10 units down. Our stretch, it's going to be a stretch because the A value is greater. It's not a fraction, it's bigger than 1. Okay, and then, so it's going to be a stretch by a factor of 7. And then it's going to be a reflection, no, because A is not negative. Okay, so let's go out and try it out. And so we have our x, we have our y, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. 4, 1, 0, 1, 4. And I'll show you how as well. So we have x plus h, and then we have our a times y plus k. And then, so let's do it. Our h value is -3. So we're going to have our x plus h is going to be -2 plus -3, which is -5. And if you notice here, in this, we just go up by 1. So it's -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And so that's what we have to do here as well. So I don't have to actually calculate them each time. I just know they go up by +1 every time. So it'll be, so this is -5. We can go the next one. If you add 1 to that, it's -4, -3, and -2, and -1. So you can see these are just in order, and it's true for all of these. This goes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once you get the first one, you just have to add 1 to each one. So you can speed up that way. So we have our 5 points. And then we'll do the A times y plus k. So let's try that out. We're going to have our A is 7 times our y plus our k value, which is -10. Okay, so we're going to do this. And we plugged in 4 into that. 4 times 7 is going to be 28 minus 10 is going to be 18. So our first y value is going to be 18. And then we're going to plug in the next one, 1. So 1 times 7 is 7, minus 10. That's going to be -3. If you plug in 0 into this, 0 times 7 is 0, minus 10 is -10. And then it just repeats over here. Okay. So there we have our parabola. We went pretty quickly this time. And then we're just going to graph these points. Let's try it out. Okay, does it even fit on here? I don't think it does. Okay, so we have -5 and -18. Or sorry, +18 is not here. So we'll just start with the next one. So when x is equal to -4, y is equal to -3. So -4 and -3. When x is equal to -3, y is equal to -10. Which is down here. When x is equal to -2, y is equal to -3, right? And then we won't be able to fit the 18, so we're going to get this really skinny graph. This is a factor of 7. Oops, it's going to look like that. Okay, And that is it. It's time for the bonus round. So we're just going to practice here, reading our equations and writing equations from the information that's given. So is there a reflection on, let's look at A here. So we have A. Is there a reflection on the x-axis? No, because A is positive 1. Okay, which way will it open? Because A is positive, it's going to be up. Is there stretch compression? Since A is 1, there is none. Okay, is there a horizontal shift? Let's look. So we see it's going to be a horizontal shift of 5, a vertical shift of +4, and our vertex, if you remember, is H, comma K. So that's actually our vertex. So our vertex is actually 5, 4. Okay, and is it a max or min? Because it opens up, it's going to be a min. Okay, let's try this next one over here. B. We have to come up with our own equation. So it says it's opening down. So that means there is a reflection. So this is yes. And it says it's vertically stretched by a factor of 4. So it means A is equal to 4. And since it's negative, it's going to be negative 4. Okay. And then what does it say here? It gives us the vertex. So we know our H value is going to be 1. And our K value is negative 5. So this is 1 and this is negative 5. And because we know it's opening downwards, that's going to be a maximum. Okay, so let's put our equation together. So we'll say Y. We said there's a vertical stretch of 4, and it's opening downwards because it does say it here. So it's going to be negative 4, and then we'll do the other bracket. We'll put our X, and then we're going to horizontal shift 1 to the right. So it's going to be negative 1, and then it's going to be squared. And then we have a vertical shift down of 5. Our K value is negative 5. And there we are. Let's try the next one. So we have x squared plus 13. So is there a reflection in the x-axis? No. A is positive 1. Direction of opening, it's going to be up. Vertical stretch or compression? No. A is just 1. Horizontal shift, there is no H value, so that's 0. Vertical shift, yes, we have plus 13. And the vertex is going to be at 0, 13. And this is going to be, because it opens up, a minimum. Okay, once you pause the video and try the next one on your own and see if you can get the right answer. Pause the video now. Okay, so let's try it. So we can see here, doesn't have any information here, but it says there's no stretch or compression. So A is equal to 1. Let's see what other information it has. It says it's a max. If it's a max, what does that mean? Is it a max? Is it opening upward or is it opening down? So you know if it's a max, it's opening down. And that means there is a reflection. So yes, so A is going to be a negative number. So say negative A. And because there is no stretch compression, we know A is equal to negative 1. So we know that's true. And then we have our vertex is at negative 3, 8. And so that's our H and K values. So let's put it all together. So we'll have Y is equal to, it's opening down, so negative, and it's negative 1. So negative 1 you can even write. So X minus 3, so minus 3, remember it's minus H, so it's going to be plus 3. And then that's going to be squared. And then we have a translation up, which is plus 8. So that's what your answer should look like. So hopefully you got that. And if not, just break it down each step, and then you'll be able to get it. Let's try E. Okay, so E says we have a vertical. So let's look at the information we have. Nothing here. So there is no reflection, so that means A is positive. So positive A. So it means it opens up. It's vertically compressed by a factor of 1/3. So we know A is actually equal to positive 1/3. Our H value is negative 4. K value is 0, so there is no K. And the vertex will just be these two values, so negative 4, 0. And because it opens up, it's going to be a minimum. Okay, so let's put it all together again. So we have y is equal to positive 1/3 from our a value. We're going to have negative 4, so when we put it into the equation negative h, it's going to become plus 4. So be careful with that. We're going to square that, and then we're going to add our k value, which is 0, so there is none, so we're done here. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one, f. Okay, so is there a reflection? We can see that negative sign there on the a value, so yes, there is. Direction of open, because it is negative, it'll open down. Okay, and is there a compression? Yeah, we have this fraction here, 3 divided by 5. If you divide 3 divided by 5, you'd get a fraction of 0.6. So we know it's less than 1. So we can just say compression, say V compression for vertical compression, by -3/5. So that's our a value. So it's a equal to that. Our horizontal shift, if you look at this, you have that +2. That means it's x is -2. So it must be -2. Vertical shift, we don't have a k value, so that is 0. Okay, and because it's negative, let's get the vertex first. So it's going to just be these two numbers, h and k, -2, 0. And because it opens down, it's going to be a max. And that's it. Okay, let's try G here. 3 more examples. So G, what information do we have here? It says vertically stretched by a factor of 5. So our A, right, at this moment, we know is at least 5. What other information does it tell us? It tells us a minimum, so that means it opens like this, so it opens up. So A is going to be positive. So we can conclude A is positive 5. We have our H and our K value. That's our vertex, -2 and -7. And so let's put it all together. Zoom out so we can see everything. Okay, so we know it's going to be Y. It says factor of 5. So it's going to be A is positive 5. That's what we concluded. We have X, and then we have this -2. So -2 is going to be positive 2. It's going to be squared, and then we're going to go down 7 units. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't fill in this part here. So there is no reflection in the x-axis, and it opens up. Let's try the next one here. Okay, so we can see, is A positive? Yes, so there is no reflection, so it opens up, and we can see here it's 1.75, and that's bigger than 1, so it's going to be still a stretch, so vertical stretch by 1.75. Okay, so we're stretching by a factor of 1.75. And is there a horizontal translation? There's no h value, so it's 0. There is a vertical translation of 7 units down, and that's going to be our vertex, 0, -7. Okay, and then because it opens up, that's going to be a minimum. And the last one, thankfully it's not so complicated. We have an a value of +1, so there is no reflection. Must mean it opens up. Is there a vertical stretch? No. Okay, A is just 1. There is a horizontal shift, which is 5 units to the right, so +5. And there is no k value, so our vertex must be at 5, 0. And because it opens up, that's going to be a minimum. Okay, and there we're done. Not so bad. Okay. I think you have a better understanding of how the vertex form works. It gives us a lot of information, and it's pretty easy to use. You just have to be a little bit careful with all the moving parts, especially with that negative h thing. Okay, so there's the homework. Actually, I'll trim down the homework so you don't have as much. Thank you. I know. And get to it. Try it out.